this video I will show you how to scan while using the Wetgate option of our Pictor. The Wetgate is very nice because it removes 95 to 99% of the vertical scratches in the film. Right now I have mounted a film which clearly has some vertical scratches. If you look at the monitor, you can see vertical scratches going through the shirt of the guy, but actually throughout the whole film there are vertical scratches. In the dark scenes they are more difficult to see, but if I run the film, you will notice that these scratches are just everywhere in the film. So here we have the scratches and the whole film will be scratched. Vertical scratches are a very big issue with 8mm film. The reason why is because 8mm is so tiny that the scratch, even the smallest scratch, will look very big in the screen and it distracts from the actual image. Digitally restoring vertical scratches is very difficult and is most likely to alter the image because the data is just not there. The nice thing about our Wetgate solution is that it just uses a fluid to temporarily fill in the scratches, and that prevents the light being refracted into the wrong angles. The light will shine straight through the film and the emulsion, and the effect is that about 95 to 99% of the scratches will be removed. You can use the Wetgate pump. The Wetgate pump is really nice because it is connected to the Pictor, or you can use the squeeze bottle. The squeeze bottle is manually applying the fluid. I will show that later in this video. The Wetgate pump is very simple to connect. You need to connect the power and you need to connect the cable to the Pictor for the communication of the two of them, for the fully automated mode. The third connection is a USB if you want to update the firmware, but that should only be done on our request. Okay, to connect the Pictor you need to use the cable which is applied with the Pictor. It has a male and a female connector, and you will not make any mistake because this is female, this is male, only this one will fit in. So you would connect it, not even needed to tightly lock it, and then you need to put in the power, which is the same power cable as what comes with the Pictor. And of course you need to put the connector into the Pictor. Now we can switch on the Wetgate pump and we have on the screen of the Wetgate pump an icon that is waiting. The Wetgate is already mounted and they consist of two sponges. One at the bottom pin, just slide it over the pin, and one for the top pin. The Wetgate pump will apply the fluid to the top pin, so connect the tube to the top pin like that. That's all. Now the Wetgate pump is connected. What we also need to do is apply the fluid. The fluid is standard isopropyl, which you can buy on eBay or any other websites, and we advise to use the highest grade of isopropyl, which is 99% or even better 99.9%. So just fill the container with a little of the fluid. Close the lid. The Wetgate pump has 3 modes: manual, stop and automated mode. Auto mode. In the stop mode it will just ask to select the mode, because this is a Pictor and we know it is connected to the Pictor, we can use the auto mode. In the auto mode it will start pumping the fluid when the film runs, and when the film stops it will automatically stop. The only thing what the operator needs to do is only set the dripping speed. That's the only setting you need to take care of. Okay, so we have put in the fluid and we want to pump the fluid all the way through the tube to the sponge. Please make sure that the valve is open. As you can see, there is a small valve here. Now it's closed because the valve is opposite in the direction of the tube. The tube is in that direction and the valve is in that direction. If I move it in that direction, now you see that the valve aligns together with the tube, and that means it's open. About the Wetgate pump, you have only 4 buttons. The first one, which I already explained, to select the mode, either manual or auto. We want to use the auto mode. We have the speed selector for the dripping speed, which you can just rotate, and it changes the dripping speed between 0 in steps up to 10, where 10 is the fastest and 0 is no dripping speed at all. For now I will just set it at 3, because that's a nice speed to start with. And we have 2 other buttons. The top button is to pump, and the bottom button is to drain. Now I can use the pump button because I want to pump the fluid all the way through the tube towards the sponge. So I will just hit the pump button, the valve is open, and I will notice that fluid is being pushed through the tube all the way to the sponge. I actually can see it with my eyes that the fluid is being pushed through the tube because it's a transparent tube. What I now want to do is I only want to wetten the 2 sponges. There is no need that it drips into the container. I only want the 2 sponges to look like submerged into the fluid, but actually just be wet. So I will pump and I will see that they are wet, and you can do that with your visual check, just checking if you can see the fluid going through the sponge. I have done that. The sponges are wet, so we are ready for our Wetgate scanning. To set the pump that it can start, you only need to press once. Now it is in the pause mode. The screen changes into a drip with 3 dots. If you click again, it stops and it's locked. And it says press to unlock. So I will press again and it's in the pause mode. When I start the film, the Wetgate pump will automatically start. So we right now have the film with the scratches. I will play this film at 10 FPS and you will notice that in about 7 frames the scratches are gone. Now there are no scratches to be seen, and that's because the Wetgate pump is pumping the fluid on the sponge and the sponge is liquefying the film. The pump will continue pumping as long as the film is playing, and I can show you the indicator on the pump as well. You see that drip filling up, and that means that it's pumping. If I stop the film, it will go back into its pause mode where you would see the drip with the 3 dots. About the speed setting, I said you can change the speed between 0 and 10, where 10 would be the fastest and 0 would be no speed at all. How to interpret the speed setting? 3 means a 3 seconds period of pumping and a 7 period of not pumping. So in a period of 10 seconds, 3 seconds of pumping, 7 seconds of not pumping. If I switch it to 1, it will only pump for 1 second and then 9 seconds of pause and then pump for 1 second again. So that is how it works. What is the proper speed setting? Well, that depends on your climate, the humidity. We think from our experience that a setting between 1 and 3 will be fast enough in most conditions. However, sometimes a film has more scratches, needs more fluid, and then you can increase the pumping speed. Okay, so to stop the pump, I can either press the stop button, but this again is a fully automated system. So what is nice about this system is that you can do a complete Wetgate scan without checking the Pictor continuously. So the operator can do other things while scanning the film and even while using Wetgate. So if I would stop the film or pause the film, automatically the pump stops pumping and the indicator shows the pause mode. If the film came to a full stop because it was all the way till the end of the film, no problem whatsoever, the pump will stop when the film stops. If the film breaks, the pump will stop. So with this pump you can do Wetgate scans without any problem. However, if you not have the Wetgate pump, we want you to be able to still do Wetgate scans. So without the pump, you can still work with the Pictor and even use the Wetgate. And why do we have that feature? Because we think that Wetgate scanning is very important to get the best out of each capture. If you do not have the pump, the solution is quite simple. You would use the squeeze bottle, you would liquefy the top sponge, wait till it enters the bottom sponge, and then start scanning. So we see the scratches in the image. If I start scanning, after 7 frames it's gone. This works as good as with the Wetgate pump. The only thing is that the operator should be monitoring the scan continuously to see if enough fluid is applied. Every 1 to 2 minutes you need to reapply some fluid to maintain the wetness of the sponges.